The WNBA world hasn't stopped buzzing since Sophie Cunningham dropped her latest round of unfiltered truth bombs. It all started innocently enough. A simple conversation, a few candid comments on her podcast, Show Me Something. But the minute Sophie opened her mouth, the temperature in women's basketball shot through the roof. She didn't sugarcoat her feelings about the controversial calls, the heartbreak of missed opportunities, or the leadership problems she believes are holding the league back. Her tone wasn't polished PR speak. It was raw, emotional, and painfully real. And that's exactly why her words exploded across social media like wildfire. It began with what seemed like a simple reflection on a game that got away. Sophie, still replaying the moments in her head, let out a sigh that said everything before she even spoke. Honestly, it's so crazy because I think if the whistle had gone our way just a few more times, literally just a couple more plays, we'd be in the finals right now. The silence that followed said more than the words themselves. It wasn't just frustration. It was the voice of an athlete who'd given everything, only to feel the rug pulled out from under her. Her co-host, West Wilson, jumped in with a knowing laugh, referencing Aaliyah's foul trouble, a turning point that shifted the entire game's rhythm. Sophie didn't even hesitate. "That was brutal," she said sharply, her tone cutting through the mic. She stopped herself before finishing the sentence, but everyone listening knew what she meant. The pause was filled with the kind of honesty that polished interviews never allow. For fans, it was a rare moment of transparency. Most players hide behind cliches about teamwork and effort, but Sophie broke that wall. She spoke like a competitor still bleeding from the loss. Every word carried the sting of memories that refused to fade. The bad calls, the helplessness, the bitter taste of what could have been. It wasn't just venting. It was a glimpse into the emotional cost of professional sports, and that authenticity made people listen. As the podcast went on, Sophie and West found a rhythm that felt both comforting and combustible. She brought the fire. He brought the calm. Together, they turned a painful reflection into something magnetic. Their banter danced between laughter and lament, giving fans a front-row seat to the human side of the game, the side that lives in the spaces between whistles and scoreboards. Sophie wasn't performing. She was processing. You could almost see her reliving it, the split-second calls, the frustration building like static in the air, the disbelief of watching momentum shift for reasons beyond skill or effort. But then, the conversation shifted from personal to powerful. Sophie started talking about the bigger picture, about the league, the leadership, and the sense that players' voices weren't being heard. She admitted how much she loved playing in Indiana, how special it felt to be surrounded by teammates who genuinely cared. "I've been in the league 7 years," she said softly, "but I've never been on a team like this." Her words weren't rehearsed. They were soaked in emotion, layered with gratitude and frustration all at once. Yet beneath the warmth, there was a sharp edge. "Our league needs to be better," she said firmly. "The leadership from top to bottom needs to be held accountable. There are people making decisions about our sport who don't even understand basketball, and that has to change." That's when things truly exploded. Fans flooded social media, some applauding her bravery, others accusing her of biting the hand that feeds her. But Sophie didn't care. For her, it wasn't rebellion. It was love. Love for the game, love for her team, and love for a league she believes can be so much more. "We're not here to attack anyone," she added later. "We just want to be heard." Those words hit harder than any buzzer beater because they spoke to something every athlete feels at some point. The desperate desire to matter. To be respected, to know the game you've given your life to isn't being mismanaged from the top down. Away from the microphone, Sophie's story deepened. The season hadn't been easy. An injury had taken her off the court, forcing her into an unfamiliar role, observer instead of warrior. At first it felt like punishment. Watching her teammates play while she sat on the sidelines was like standing in the rain with no umbrella, drenched in helplessness. But as time passed, she found meaning in the stillness. She and her fellow injured teammates formed what they jokingly called the bench mob, a group of women who refused to let their absence from the floor dull their passion for the game. They were loud, loyal, and full of life. When others played, they screamed encouragement until their throats hurt. When frustration crept in, they laughed it away. The bench mob became the emotional heartbeat of the team. Behind the jokes and the noise, something beautiful took shape, a bond built on resilience. The team lived by a mantra, standard over feeling. We over me. It wasn't just painted on the locker room wall. It was lived every day. When one player cried after a grueling rehab session, another cracked a joke to lift her spirit. When someone doubted her strength, the others reminded her what she was made of. That unspoken unity carried them through the toughest days. Even sidelined, Sophie discovered new ways to lead, not through stats or scoring, but through presence, encouragement, and perspective. She learned that passion doesn't need playing time. It needs purpose. Her team mirrored that energy. They refused to crumble under adversity. Injuries mounted, schedules got brutal, but the bond only tightened. The bench mob, once seen as a group of sideline cheerleaders, became the soul of the franchise. Their energy kept the locker room alive. They weren't just spectators. They were strategists, motivators, sisters in arms. That unity became their secret weapon, the invisible thread connecting every victory and softening every defeat. Off the court, Sophie's world was changing too. She had learned to see life differently, especially after losing a parent, an experience that redefined her idea of success. "Family means everything to me now," she said in one interview. "Before I make any decision, I think of my mom, my siblings, my grandma. I want them to be proud." It was a glimpse of a woman who had matured beyond the noise of fame and controversy, someone who had learned that strength isn't about how loud you roar, but how much love you carry through the storm. But even as her heart softened, her fire never faded. That same fierce spirit that made her a fan favorite also made her a lightning rod for criticism. The league has fined her multiple times, once for a viral TikTok, another for bold comments about referees favoring certain players. Each time she took the hit with a smirk, refusing to apologize for saying what others only whisper. When most athletes would retreat into silence, Sophie doubled down, laughing in the face of reprimand. To her, speaking truth wasn't defiance. It was integrity. Sophie Cunningham is the embodiment of contradiction. Tough, yet tender, rebellious, yet loyal, frustrated, yet full of hope. She's a player who wears her heart not just on her sleeve, but on every word she speaks. In a league often defined by corporate polish and cautious statements, she is a reminder that authenticity still matters. Whether you see her as fearless or reckless, her honesty forces people to listen, to feel, to react. And that's exactly what keeps her relevant in a league still struggling to find its soul. So, what do you think? Was Sophie right to call out the system and speak from the heart, or did she cross a line that should have stayed private? Should athletes be punished for saying what everyone else is thinking? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.